It's going to go live in a second. It started. So I'll introduce myself quickly. My name's Khaled. I'm now in Jordan. You can see a bit of Jordan here. I was in London talking to my friend in person over here, Dust Speakers Corner regularly. But what we're also doing right now, we used to talk a lot in the local Pret-a-Manger, or Pret for short, where we both lived in the same borough, part of London. We used to do regular coffee mornings, so we're going to try to keep that habit up. It's a nice thing to keep in contact. So, very briefly, I'm a Muslim who likes to talk about how to make the world a happier place through tried and tested Islamic principles, and you don't have to be a Muslim to practice them. What do you want to say about yourself, Dust?
Well, firstly, my name is Dust, and I come with a 2-year guarantee not to rust, which I think is quite important in these rainy climates we've been having in the UK at the moment. And yes, Speaker Corner, and one of my main passions in life is the pursuit of humanity and the growth and diversity of communities. Having monocultures is something which is the absolute antithesis to happiness. And Speaker's Corner has been one of my outlets, and I recommend it for all people of the world to come visit London, Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner, and to experience it, and even be a speaker at Speaker's Corner. That was tremendous. A little bit what like me, Khaled are doing here, but a little more group, community, and random. Random is sometimes a bit overwhelming, but once your mind becomes accustomed to such vibrant humanity, people that materialize in front of you, you'll find that you become a better person and much more centered and controlled and capable in any debate and not being able to be distracted from the important points which need to be articulated.
I agree in many ways that exposing yourself in a very robust way, the Speaker's Corner, to different ideas is a good way to develop yourself and become a better person. There are a lot of people who don't become better people because they just fight and don't listen to the other person. But that's with everything, isn't it? You get the opportunity, do you take it? And Speaker's Corner is a great opportunity. So yes, I agree. And that's like us. We're always disagreeing on stuff, and we agree on a lot of stuff as well. Like we agree on food, healthy food and all these basic. This is kind of why people might be wondering what the hell is all this weird stuff on my balcony window, which is the entrance to the kitchen. Like, here's garlic, and there's dried okra. Well, not dry, it's drying okra in bags and stuff like that. And these are the kind of things I love about my village life in Jordan. It's very down to earth. But anyway, so with that, we agree on a lot of stuff and we disagree on a lot of stuff. But I think we have the same aims, roughly, don't we? Like a better world, it sounds like.
Possibly.
Just different ways.
Yeah, I think there are clear divisions, like in here.
Yes, line that right division, here. The one, that one there.
You're the wrong side, mate. You're on the wrong side.
No, my finger is. I think we're flipped. Our view is flipped, but where I'm putting my finger, I can see the black.
Oh my line. God, they're watching two.
So yeah,
to work out a line on the screen.
Should really confuse you, and I can move you to the other side. Has it moved?
Oh, that's better.
You like that, do you?
No, I don't like. And let's not start doing.
Okay.
Focus on what we're talking
I'll move
about.
you back then. Okay, so what are we talking about? So we each picked a topic, and the topic I picked was LGBT ... because I can't keep up with all the latest additions to that. Why group us by sexual interests? So LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and some other extra stuff that keeps being added on. These are all essentially based on your sexual interest or sexuality or how you describe yourself through sex or something like that. Oh yes, this is a type chess clock. If people don't know about how chess works, I should have pressed it. There we go. Sorry, I pressed it. Yeah, there we go now.
Khaled time.
Khaled time. Okay.
Just time.
So yeah. So okay. Here are my thoughts about that. I think I'm going to quickly. As a Muslim, I feel like I always like to start with a verse of the Holy Quran. I'll briefly mention it and then give my idea of where I'm going to go with this. So, Bismillah, in the name of Allah, the gracious and merciful. And it says, and as to those who disbelieve, and disbelieve in the Arabic means people who hide from the beauty and light and guidance of God, that actively work against, hide from it. Their deeds are like a mirage in the desert. The thirsty one thinks it to be water until when he comes to it, he finds it to be nothing, and he finds Allah near him, who then fully pays him his account, and Allah is swift in reckoning. So it's a bit like poetry. It does take a bit of time to absorb, but roughly the idea that's being portrayed through the idea of mirages and a thirsty people chasing a mirage is that a mirage is a special kind of illusion, not an ordinary illusion. It's an illusion where it looks like water, especially, and it's always in the distance. And when you arrive at that place where you thought you would finally quench your thirst, it disappears. And that's very much, I think, accurately describes the illusion of materialism. You think if I go, you always think, if I have this thing, if I have this expensive car, if I get this relationship and whatever, finally I will be happy. My thirst, or I've finally quenched my thirst of needs. And this is never fulfilled if you're not enjoying the spiritual connection to God. Okay, because as I've talked in other live streams, it's the invisible stuff that is the most powerful in creating happiness. And even psychologists know that, things like meaning and love and other invisible intangibles. Intangibles, fairly intangible, not obviously seen.
The gay community can love and is love.
Right. Okay. So I think it's focusing on sexuality rather than the love itself is what I'm like. You don't need to. It seems to be one of the main categorizations of human beings at the moment in the West. Like you can have sex as a heterosexual person privately by yourself. You don't need to make a group for it. And so I think it's what's happening here, in short, is one of many materialistic ways of categorizing ourselves. And to round it off a little bit, is that people are missing a lot, and therefore they over-index it, overvalue it in their lives. So just to put it into sort of perspective, people who are in long-term relationships, in marriages, have most of the sex, 95% of the sex, and those who don't have, let's say, 5% of the sex. So they're missing something spiritually, and they're missing things physically as well, as a knock-on effect of these choices. And yeah, so that's my opening ideas. So what do you think? I'll press the button. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'll just have a little make an open statement and then come back to some of your ideas, all in my time, hopefully. So, firstly, the gay community are human beings first and foremost. And first and foremost, they are exploring what it means to be human, exploring what it means to have emotions, feelings, desires, relationship with other human beings of consensual and of age, of course, which is very important. And are becoming stronger and better human beings by being allowed to explore this part of humanity in in an environment, a community which is caring, considerate, and understanding, rather than the opposite, which is Abrahamic religions have constantly, for the last thousand plus years, have exploited the ease of which it is to attack a little group so that they themselves, the Abrahamic leadership, can never be themselves the of the questions of the communities. Rather, so I'll rephrase that. So they use communities like the gay communities, women's rights, as a way of stopping themselves from being the focal point of the miseries of the world around us. The leadership is responsible, and whoever's the lead is responsible. So the gay community is just performing humanity, and there's some background noise.
Yeah, I thought that was your side.
Yes, maybe it is my side. Can you hear that on my?
Yeah, so, and then I thought it was some weird microphone thing when you were talking. It was good.
Yeah,
It's gone.
Anyway, let's ignore that.
Yeah, yeah.
So the gay community and any community that isn't infringing upon the rights of other humans, is not attacking other humans, is not demanding is just basically, what I'm trying to say is basically just performing, living, growing themselves, and not in any way a disturbance to any other community, is a wonderful thing. That's how we want our community to be part of our collective whole, creative and diversity. And it's diversity which leads to the most perfect and beautiful societies that we can possibly achieve in our lifetimes. So just to go back quickly to spend the next minute, so I'll try and get to 5 minutes, 5:30 with you. I mean, I don't know how you've linked it to material. I do think that any community that feels attacked all the time is going to become more radicalized and more, which is not the way it should be. And marriage, you can have gay marriages, and I don't know if that happens in any Muslim countries. You may can talk about that, about gay marriages, but they're a wonderful, positive, and brilliant representation and demonstration of how a group that's so easily attacked and belittled can actually demonstrate equal and brilliant love and raise up children in that environment as well, with equal respect and humanity. And I think that is something.
Go on, you got 15 seconds.
Something which is not allowed to be demonstrated. A lot of the Abrahamic countries, always make sure that gay communities never get represented, because therefore they could demonstrate just how wonderful they are, like they do in the UK. They demonstrate absolute wonder and beauty, which is a lot of communities could learn from.
Did I press it well? Or was it? Oh, you have to do the pressing on that one anyway. So thank you. I think you made some important points about, and it's given me an opportunity to explain them, which is, one is that the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, with all their rules, seem to be oppressive. Like, why all these rules? They seem to be so unnecessary. Why just stop? Why say things like homosexuality is bad and things like that? This is often a misconception that the rules are random and there to just be bossy and oppressive. But actually, the Quran says whatever, and this is something testable, whatever God or God says is God talks first person of the Quran. I say is a sin is bad for you. Whatever I say is a blessing is good for you, and this is testable. You can see if you think about it, because these things are not obviously apparent at first. There are many harms related to homosexuality. Some of them are more obvious and some of them are less obvious. So the more obvious ones are like STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, many mental health issues related to it. But the mental health issues, I would say, are the more subtle things that come about of secondary causes like short-term relationships. And you might say, and that's just statistically true, people who are gay or lesbian have a lot more short-term relationships. And I think it has also an effect on how the rest of society operates. So I think this lack of value of marriage and staying married for life as best as you can, and being patient with each other, this is an offshoot of the lack of respect for marriage as between man and woman. So men and women, they connect so well because they're different. So in Arabic, it's called the word zoj, which is, I think, just means the opposite pair, the other pair, of, the other half, or as in English, they say your other half or better half and stuff like that. You can talk about two shoes. They can be called zoj. They're like slightly different, but they work together. You don't want two left feet or two right feet. You want a left and a right foot, and you walk well because of it. And so that opposite connects better. It meets certain different needs. Men and women are different. They give each other different things. If you have two women or two men, it's not going to work as well. Just like two right feet and two left feet are not going to work very well. So it's not to be oppressive. It's supposed to help. And Islam says you have freedom to do whatever you want. Okay, but societies can choose to have what is known as Sharia law, which is law, God's law, imposed if they, by democratic consent, choose to have that. And then it will be like, okay, if you do this thing which the majority considers unhealthy, which is homosexuality, for the reasons I've given, and all these other things that are coming out of LGBT, then we'll say, okay, here's the punishments for it to stop it. Just like if we agree that drugs are bad for you, you put punishments to stop people from doing it, or just do it privately or whatever. So Islam, by the way, says you can do certain things privately and won't punish you, but things that are going to harm society will punish you for that, which makes sense because you're encroaching on other people's rights. And so very briefly, I was going to quickly finish off some ideas. As I said before, these ideas that you can have sex with anybody, you can do anything, whatever, it seems cool on the surface, but it is having lots of knock-on effects. Like most 50% of young people are not having sex anymore because they don't understand how marriage works and what the core, why the first place and things like that. And so they're suffering, and then they're becoming overexcited about sex. And when you miss something like food and you're not having much of it, your brain puts it to a high priority. And that's why I think LGBT is being formed and given way more importance than it used to, because people are missing it, and then they start categorizing and grouping everything by sex because it seems to be the most important thing for them. And okay, I'll stop there. Got 17 seconds. Go for it.
Well, oops, wrong button. I know, I meant to pass it. Yeah, well, just a, we can go over time. It's just,
Oh, okay, sure. But I like
we should be
to.
very careful when we do that because, make
Yeah, it gets boring if one
it,
person just talking. You're right. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we can go over the time. Is that me going down? Yeah. So these God laws that you're referring to, I think it should be very important to point out that they are written by men and written by human beings, as I stated earlier in my last opening statement earlier, that it's just the people in charge of your religions, the Abrahamic religions, that is. They don't want any focus really on them. They want to make sure that when human beings are questioning the world around them and trying to find a scapegoat for the horror that they're living in, the misery, they need someone easy to blame. So they write into the laws, well, let's just blame the gay communities and these other small groups. Of course, that means they won't look at us getting really wealthy and rich off a company, which you call religion, off a company which is allegedly meant to be all about spirituality and community and happiness and oneness and growth and beauty of what it is to be a human being and relationship with a spirituality. So let's not. I think it's very important to clarify that wonder. And mental health. I mean, that's such a brilliant topic to bring up and a very important one. And historically and around the world, literally today, if you walk down with your partner, the person you love in a gay relationship, this is down the street, you'll be abused, attacked, or if you look a certain way that isn't being preordained by your government, aka your religion, this company that dominates the world, the Abrahamic religion company, then you will be, again, you'll be open to attack. And when you're attacked, repressed, when you're not allowed to be a human being, boom, you'll have an explosion of mental health problems. But when you are allowed to be you can explore you, learn what it is to be a human being, learn what it means to be a human being, and the responsibilities that come with this heavy burden of being alive. Because, yes, being you is an absolute right, but also we are in a community and we do have, no matter the setting that is described, we still have responsibilities to the world around us. And there are lines and there are clear ways of performing and acting in public and acting in private. These are clear divisions, and divisions which are, as the majority of the time, are clearly separable, and something I completely back as well, of course. And so I think it'd be lovely to see more couples, gay couples, that is, or any couple, of course, walking down hand in hand, and obviously expressing love to each other, but in a very normal, in a very if it's in public, in a confined way, of course, but nevertheless be able to express that love and be able to express that love in a profound way by going to your mosque or synagogue, that word.
Yeah, it's a synagogue. It is a synagogue.
Synagogue, thank you, or church, and expressing that love in a profound way by the act of marriage in a church. And each church should be allowed to make that, each religious venue, should be allowed to make that choice on their own, whether they wish to be able to do that. But they should be able to do that in law, absolutely. And if a couple want to get married and express their love before your God or a God or the spirituality which you represent, then if you feel that's the need, then that need should be absolutely met. And that, therefore, your community leaders are now demonstrating how to be a leader, demonstrating that being human is a more diverse representation that's been, dictated over the last 2,500 years, which is an absolute terrible horror, which they do. And is being gay cool? No, it's just being what you are. It's not a choice. It's just something that you, as a human being, are evolved, and it's about evolution. And never forget, people in the gay community, that long before the Abrahamic religions was even a twinkle in your little eye, the gay community was flourishing and growing in these ancient times of our world. And we still live in this world today with overpopulation. So there is no way, absolutely anything to blame with said population of the world, as in negative. It is all positive. Done. Right. Do you want to
Thank
round
you.
up? Just spend a minute rounding up, or
Sure, yeah, that would be good. I'm going to
just to
try.
round up?
Okay. Yeah, so very briefly, what will I say? I think I like the thing you said about responsibility towards the community, and that's what I was talking about. Like, if you realize statistically there are negative effects of being gay, then you should care about being responsible in doing that. I think people think their identity is through their sexuality, but sexuality is known to be fluid. Just known, like in prison, more people become gay and stuff like that. And a more solid, powerful definition of identity is through meaning and what you're going to do with your life. That's really what you want to center about who you are, not how physical parts of your body or what you do with them. And the myth of the past gay community or something is, you can see evolutionarily, whatever the word is that would never work. You just, society would die if people were all gay. That's just logical. Yeah, and also it's actually been shown increasingly that it's harmful to children if you have gay parents, for many different reasons, because it's supposed to be natural. Oh, have I talked too long? Go on.
Yeah, this is meant to be a roundup.
Round up. So yeah, so I think there's just lots of negative effects, and therefore we should consider those negative effects. Thank you.
All right, and my roundup is with education, with respect, and open-mindedness to a community which is we're being dictated to hate, as in from the Abrahamic religions. If we can overcome that, we can actually focus on the real problems that are happening in this world, and those real problems being, which is one of the things we're going to talk about next, which is global warming, and education is of vital importance, and gay marriage, humanity. Being able to express that in a community is a human right by law and should be in a world constitution, meaning that we'd be able to put in prison people repressing and hating said any community which is a non-harmful community, as in violent, repressive, or anything like that. Thank you. I think I like to say we're done on that subject.
That's fantastic. And we're going to do a separate live stream. I've connected just so that it makes a separate video for the next subject. So do you want to do your usual, the dust is,
Well,
I don't
thank you
want to
very
say
much
your phrase.
Thank you very much for listening. Khaled, you brought some very beautiful, profound and wonderful points, which means I could be able to react and demonstrate that maybe there's a broader brush here. So thank you very much. The dust is now settled. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just end the stream and broadcast.